and welcome to Informed. I'm Randy Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us once again today. This show is focused on just that, to bring you experts to inform you on a wide range of topics from health to business, politics, relationships, and much more. Stats from a recent survey has found that 90% of Canadians with dependents are dangerously underinsured, with many risking loved ones being left struggling if the unthinkable were to happen. The poll also found that 49% of respondents with dependents have never purchased life insurance before. The topic of today's show is protecting your family. What's holding you back? It's a great pleasure to welcome financial security expert Tim Chuang. Thanks very much, Tim, for joining us here today on Informed.
Thank you for inviting me.
Great to have you here. Listen, given that you're, in this world, does it still shock you when you hear those statistics?
No, Randy. I think most people haven't reviewed their insurance coverage for years. And with the increasing size of mortgage and the cost of living today, suddenly many Canadian households find they're underinsured. And of course, as you mentioned earlier, half of the people that haven't purchased life insurance before, and there are many reasons holding them back.
So, and that's something we're going to get into to talking about. I think to give people, the information, knowledge is power. But before we get into that, I've always been fascinated in my entire career in broadcasting to really drill down and find out. I'm fascinated to find out why people do what they do. There's typically always a story. So for you, why do you do this for a living? And is there a story?
Yes, I came from banking background. I used to be a branch manager of National Bank and HSBC. And then, as a banking advisor, we need to talk about insurance to cover the client's mortgage, their debt. And then I find that the client just feel very comfortable again and again. Many clients, they feel comfortable talking about premature death, talking about protecting your family, and trying to find the answers and solutions. And that's when many of my colleagues, including my wife, said, Tim, I think if you do this business, you're going to make a tremendous impact to people's life. So 6 years ago, I entered insurance and financial planning business, and never look back. It's the best thing ever happened to me personally and professionally.
So, I always like to take it down to, to a personal experience, not a specific story per se, but when you have that conversation with a family and you put them to ease and, they make a decision and they protect their family. When you're driving home in the car, how does that feel?
I always find it's such a privilege to witness those beautiful moments. Insurance is a product of love. I find I have a lot of clients, and I find regardless of their background, their ethnic background, education, socioeconomic status, or it doesn't really matter what. I find people buy insurance for one reason and one reason only, and that's because of love. A husband buy for their wife, a father buy for their children, and the business owner buy for their employees. Philanthropists buy for the charity cause. It is never for their own personal immediate pleasure, but for a deferred benefit that for someone they care so deeply about. And I find it such a privilege for me to witness those beautiful moments. I can do this every day.
That really is is fascinating to me. And when my producers reached out and connected with you and asked you to be on the show, and you and I had a very long call going through this, I had never heard it put that way before, and I was excited to have you share that with our viewers today, because I think that it resonates so much of what it really should be about now. With so many Canadians without insurance or being so underinsured. What should they be asking to, an insurance advisor to provide more confidence for them?
You are right, Randy. I find a lot of people, they approach insurance as a product. They spend a lot of time to research around it, and then find it that even at the end, they spend a lot of time research, they're still not so sure. And the reason is life insurance is not so much about the product. It's really more about the people's connection. So what I'm saying is actually your connection with the insurance advisor is more important than the product itself. Many people think that once the policy is issued is the end of a transaction. No, it's only the beginning of a very, very long-term relationship. So your connection with the advisor is going to make all the difference. So my suggestion is ask a few friends and ask them to give you their recommended advisor and interview maybe 2 or 3 of them. And once you start talking to them, you will find out one or maybe will jump up. You'll find that this particular person that can resonate with you, can understand how you feel, can understand your needs. And the most important thing is at the end, when these advisors bring their proposal forward, you should feel like looking at when they're explaining, go over these proposal with you, you should feel, yes, this is it. This is what I need. And that will be, so my point is you find the right advisor, and then that advisor will find the right product for you.
That's fantastic advice. And again, there is, a great relationship component to this. And I think that, the truth of the matter is that some of the people, that are in this business are purely transactional. Here's the price, and I'll, sell you the product and move on, and we'll probably never talk again. So that's very good advice. When we spoke on the phone, you talked about 3 very common questions. And I think if we can share that with the audience, it might provide some more insight into, what this process is about. So what are those 3 questions?
The first question is, please don't get too hung up on the product. Since 2017, actually, most of the insurance companies are using exactly the same mortality table. So the premium are going to be very, very similar. We are talking about only a few dollars per month, and then, about 5% plus and minus. So don't worry too much about the product and the pricing. It's really the relationship that you need to develop with your insurance advisor. The second thing is people have this misconception is that if they can wait a few years, they take a chance to wait for a few years and a few years later to buy it and save a few years of premium. It doesn't really work that way. The way insurance price is that at the end, by the age of roughly around 90, your accumulated premium will all add out to be the same. So if you buy a few years earlier and a few years later, you will find that, by the time when you are old, the accumulated premium would be more or less the same. So the saving is not really there. So I would suggest start early. It is really important to buy early. So make sure that you are insured. And not only that, a lot of insurance companies are upping their premium about 2 to 3 times a year in order to reflect the inflation as well as the low interest rate environment. So, some of my clients, after a couple of months, they suddenly notice that now the premium has gone up for about 7 to 10%. And then that's, which is a shame. So get in early. And finally, one of the most important things is that insurance is one of those things that you rather buy 10 years too early than 1 minute too late. It is unique that way. I would also like to remind a lot of our, more mature audience here, especially for those who are over 55-year-old. Don't think that life insurance is only for young parents. Life insurance serves 2 purposes. In our life, it changes with our age. So if before age 55, it's called young family phase. You want to buy life insurance in case you die too soon. But after you pass age 55, and that's a different phase, is for wealth preservation. The reason is because life insurance has a very, very interesting and important characteristic is the death benefit payout is always going to be a lot more than insurance that you pay in. So that creates additional estate, and it can solve a lot of the problem and then take care of your family. For example, one client who, a middle-aged lady, bought an insurance from me recently, and she said to me, Tim, I think with my income, with my retirement income and my saving, I don't think I'm gonna leave too much for my son, but I would really love to buy a condo for him. But good thing I have this life insurance. When I die, I know that he will have enough money to buy a condo, and that will be my gift to him. It really warmed my heart for these kind of stories. The mother probably doesn't have a lot, but there, insurance is a letter of love that she wants to take care of her son and want her son to have it.
That is, fantastic advice for everyone. I think that checks a lot of boxes for people who are considering, making certain that they are properly insured and or insured at all. So, really thank you for that. The final question, the final point that I wanted to touch on again when we were, discussing this on our phone call was that you said, look, there's a big difference between taking, an insurance program and customizing it or personalizing it. Explain what you mean by that.
Right. Customized, meaning, the company would make maybe 4 or 5 different boxes and then trying to fit the client into those boxes. And, people are not like that, because if you're really like that, then you and your work colleagues, you guys have the same profile, you will buy exactly the same product. Do you think you have the same concern and dream and wish that lead to, the same insurance coverage? Of course not. So personalized is just what it suggests, is highly personal. Insurance is a very personal product. It really needs to resonate with your experience and your concern. And then it's a product that represents you and your value.
That's a very, very unique way of looking at this. I've never heard of that before. So the difference, customized is, we have some boxes, and personalized means sitting down with my family and saying, this is personal. That's great. Tim, finally, if there's no obligation, of course, to this, and a question that I ask all of my guests on the show is, if people had questions or wanted to connect with you, would it be okay if we provided your contact information here?
Of course, I would love to help.
All right, that is excellent. Again, I could talk for hours about this with you. We certainly appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, and I certainly appreciate your time on the show. And hopefully, we'll have you back on for a future show.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me once again.
Great to have you here, Tim Chuang, who is a financial expert. I'm Randy Taylor. Thank you very much for joining us, and please like and/or share this video. Until next time, on behalf of everyone here at Informed, thanks for joining us. Have an amazing day.